Right now, Philippine businesses face crushing pressure from both regulators and demanding stakeholders to urgently prove their ESG compliance. Bringing in a consultant to navigate these requirements is a high-stakes capital expenditure that requires serious vetting. The wrong partner drains your team's operational time and damages your hard-earned credibility with investors, costs that quickly exceed the initial consulting fee. The market is currently saturated with generalists. They promise fast turnarounds by slapping your logo onto off-the-shelf international ESG templates. This leaves you with a stark choice. Do you buy a quick, disposable document to pass a temporary audit, or do you put in the heavy lifting to overhaul your internal systems? This chart, the consulting trap, maps out exactly how this decision unfolds. The moment you hire a consultant, you are forced down one of two completely different paths. Take the generic template approach. It offers incredibly low friction upfront. You pay a fee, you get a binder, but it leads straight into severe compliance blind spots and permanent dependency on outside help. The capacity-building approach requires your leadership team to put in serious effort early on. The trade-off is that it achieves permanent operational integration. Your choice dictates whether your business will be permanently chained to expensive external advisors or whether you build true self-sufficient resilience. To make that choice, we have to weigh the appeal of global frameworks against the hard reality of local regulations. Let's say you hire an advisory firm that relies purely on standardized international ESG rubrics. In a few weeks, they hand over a highly polished report. It looks fantastic and speaks exactly the language your foreign investors want to hear. But those global templates are blind to the ground-level rules governing your specific facility, leaving your operations exposed to local violations. Look at this matrix. A generic global standard completely misses the strict requirements of Philippine mandates like RA 9003 for solid waste, RA 9275 for clean water, and RA 8749 for clean air. If your consultant doesn't understand those specific local laws, you will fail a localized audit. That means you'll have to fund a second, highly expensive round of consulting just to fix the gaps you paid them to cover in the first place. The next vector to evaluate is how well they actually understand your specific industry. Forcing heavy, complex manufacturing operations to run on fragile systems built for retail environments always ends in disaster. You receive recommendations that look logically sound on a PowerPoint slide, but are practically impossible to execute on a busy factory floor. Applying broad, generic solutions to localized, sector-specific problems simply wastes your staff's time and delivers zero measurable impact. This brings us to a crucial distinction. Is your consultant building your internal capacity, or are they carefully engineering dependency? Consider the typical document deliverer. You commission them with a single objective: finalize a sustainability report before the deadline. They do the math, write the narrative, and you successfully check the compliance box for the current fiscal year. Because this approach focuses on the final document rather than the process, your team remains reliant on external experts to interpret new data for the following year. To break that cycle, you have to evaluate consultants based on their use of concrete frameworks, specifically systems thinking. In this context, systems thinking means finding an educator consultant who maps out the root cause flaws in your operations instead of just ticking off symptom-level checklists. This T-chart shows the stark difference in deliverables. The left side relies on checklist outcomes, abstract activities like workshops conducted or documents generated. The right side demands systems outcomes. Targeting root causes is the only effective way to achieve the measurable risk reduction and metric improvements listed on that right side. Be prepared. The systems approach demands significant time and a heavy cognitive load from your internal leadership to actively change how you operate. A flashy report is a short-term band-aid. Genuine sustainability requires permanent, sometimes disruptive, operational surgery. To figure out which approach fits your specific organizational maturity and budget, let's map these out. This quadrant chart plots your options. The horizontal axis tracks internal effort and cost. The vertical axis measures long-term ROI and risk reduction. In the bottom left, we have generic report mills, requiring low effort but offering extremely low ROI. This sector is for the compliance-driven SME surviving an immediate audit, with zero budget for structural changes. If forced into this path, you must personally audit the consultant's knowledge of local laws like RA 11058. Without local expertise, cheap paperwork is entirely useless. In the bottom right are high-cost generalists. This demands massive internal effort for very low ROI. Avoid this danger zone entirely. Finally, the top right quadrant houses localized capacity builders. This requires high effort, but yields massive long-term ROI. This is the only zone for a growth-oriented enterprise that wants to protect its brand, find true operational efficiency, and drive actual systems change. To operate here, your enterprise must be willing to absorb higher upfront costs and active internal disruption. The reward is a self-sustaining system driven by a team that is permanently trained in capacity-building frameworks. Your decision ultimately balances the long-term price of dependency against the value of a system that allows your business to adapt independently.